Let's talk about football in Trinidad and Tobago now. The recent Ascension League represents the only organized football played in the Twin Island Republic since the pandemic. The competition, broadcast live on your home of champions, received plaudits for its organization and the quality of play among the 10 competing teams. The Ascension Tournament filled the void left by the TNT Pro League, which was abandoned in 2020. But its future is uncertain today. League President Richard Ferguson says the normalization committee in charge of TNT's football has made clear it will not be granted the rights to organize another edition of the competition. According to Ferguson, the reasoning is that tournaments organized by private entities must not be allowed to crowd out the Pro League put on by the normalization committee. At the time of preparing this segment, there was no indicator of the schedule and format for the TNT Pro League. Frustrated by what he says is officious bureaucracy that's retarding the growth of football in the country, Ferguson has told his backers that he will be running for the presidency of the TTFA at the opportune time. He joins us now to discuss his vision. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So we'll start by asking you about when did you find out and how that, there'll be no more Ascension League?
Well, we had written to the chairman of the normalization committee, Mr. Robert Haddad, requesting permission to do an Ascension Caribbean Cup, which would have involved the 3 teams from the Ascension League, which would have been Police, the Defense Force, and Rangers, against 1 team from Grenada, 1 team from Barbados, and hopefully 1 team from Jamaica. But they have since responded and said that no permission would be granted. And in fact, they will no longer be approving any Ascension League in the future. So we have that in writing, and the document was signed by the General Secretary, Mr. Emil Mohammed.
And of course, the reasoning is that it will clash with the TNT Pro League that we still have not much details on. Did you write back to them, of course, maybe with another proposal? Let's just say if you can have the competition at a different time as opposed to this TNT Pro League that we're supposed to hear more about.
Well, I don't think it's a TNT Pro League. I think what they are doing is they're running what is called a new league called the Elite League. And that is to be run by the TTFA. But the Ascension Caribbean Cup would have just run for about 7 days. So that should not have interfered with any new Elite League. They have claimed that the new Elite League is to start in October. But, we are now in September, and there has been nothing on the drawing boards. There have been no fixtures, no teams have been invited. There has been nothing. So I am very doubtful that any Elite League can take place in October. So again, we wait with bated breath. And we wait to see if the new Elite League can kick off. But even if it does kick off, the Ascension Caribbean Cup would not have obstructed that at all.
Mr. Ferguson, what's your report card on the normalization committee that FIFA had appointed to run TNT's football? Well,
FIFA and CONCACAF, in their wisdom, has appointed a normalization committee, and they don't really report to us, the membership. The membership really doesn't know what they are doing or what functions they perform in. So, we can't really determine their success or failure. That has to go to CONCACAF and FIFA, who they report to directly.
Yeah, when the release came out initially, Mr. Ferguson, it did say that the normalization committee would be in effect until it fulfills all of its assigned tasks, but no later than 24 months after it had been officially installed. Now we're past 24 months. So as we now speak, the normalization committee has expired its projected time span.
Yes, absolutely true. And they have gone well beyond what they should have been there for. And again, this is not for me to speak on. I am not their boss, as they would say. They report to people a lot higher than me. and they would have to comment on their performance.
And you can confirm that you are interested in going up for the presidency when that time comes.
Oh yes, absolutely. And I think this is common knowledge because in the last election, three of us ran for the presidency: myself, William Wallace, and John Williams. And I am still interested, and certainly at the next election, my hat will certainly be in the ring.
Richard, let's talk about the presidency, extend that. But just before we continue that, I want to go back to the request for the Caribbean Cup, because isn't it true to say that the TTFA is perhaps constrained to give the kind of approval you sought? Because I'm looking at the text of the letter here, and it says it says here that the letter, of course, addressed to you, it says you should also note that any such tournament or competition would require sanctioning from the international football bodies, and such will not be issued in view of the situation of the TTFA. Now, this is open to interpretation, and there's no interpretation regulations with me to read with this, but I'm just saying, but based on what we know, that the TTFA being under normalization, that perhaps it is that what the TTFA normalization is saying is that in the present moment, it is constrained to authorize a tournament involving TNT teams and teams outside of TNT. Teams in Jamaica, a team from Jamaica, a team from Barbados, and a team from Grenada as proposed. Is that not the real story why the Ascension Caribbean Cup was not sanctioned, as opposed to the TTFA just not supporting you in this regard?
Well, what I would suggest to you, George, is that if the tournament is playing in Trinidad, we would need to have the local association sanction it first. Once we get the local association to sanction it, we would then need to solicit the sanction of the Jamaica Association, the Grenada Association, and the Barbados. But if the Trinidad Association doesn't sanction it, then there's no point going to Jamaica, Barbados, or Grenada.
Right, but the clash though, Richard, is that, and I'm seeking your guidance on this, because I too am not clear. We're trying to reason it out. So I'm saying to you, is it that they're saying that, look, based on the fact that we are under normalization and the constraints therein, we can't sanction a tournament on TNT soil involving TNT teams and teams from outside Jamaica? That seems to be the reasoning here, and I'm asking you if that holds up, if that makes sense.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me. But again, I did not find the correspondence particularly lucid. And there were several things within the correspondence that, again, didn't make sense to me. But again, I may not understand, But in my opinion, is the process was to get TTFA to buy in first, then write to the Jamaica Association and say, look, we're going to invite Harborview to come to Trinidad with your permission and Harborview's permission to play. I think it would have been 3 games. Over a 7-day period.
Yeah.
Then we would have written to Barbados Association, asked them, listen, can you send your premier team to Trinidad to play 3 games over 7 days? That was the construct.
Yeah.
But if the TTFA does not sanction it, then we can't go any further.
Yeah. Hold it right there, Richard. We're going to come back after this break and pick up the conversation and, of course, talk about the issue of the presidency and you wanting to be in charge of the TTFA when the normalization is lifted. Back with more on the SportsMax Zone after these.